How to identify Africanized honeybees. Recognizing Africanized honeybees. Look for a difference in size. Africanized honeybees look virtually identical to European honeybees (EHB) except for a slight difference in size. AHB are typically about 10% smaller than their counterparts, however, this is subtle and cannot be noticed with the naked eye. The size difference can usually only be noted using professional measuring instruments found in a laboratory. Not even experienced beekeepers can tell the difference simply on sight. Note the bee in the image on the left is a bumblebee. AHB are aggressive. You should not approach a hive intending to extract a bee to measure its size. Leave this to professionals. Look for differences in aggression. European honeybees and AHB respond differently to provocation. While all bees will respond aggressively to perceived dangers to their hive, AHB much more so. Whereas a EHB may send out as few as 10 to 20 guard bees to respond to a threat within 20 yards (18.3 meters) of the hive, AHB may send several hundred with a range of 120 yards (110 meters) from the hive. This is also seen in how many stings you can expect to receive if you encounter the hive. An AHB hive can administer as many as 1,000 stings if disturbed, whereas 10 to 20 stings is typical for a disturbed EHB hive. Notice how long it takes them to become calm after agitation. A normal EHB hive will calm back down after around 20 minutes, resuming their normal activities and no longer buzzing with aggression. AHB on the other hand can remain aggressive for hours afterward. Look for bees that forage for pollen in small groups or alone. Africanized honeybees are more solitary foragers than European honeybees and are typically considered opportunistic. AHB also tend to forage at different times than EHB. AHB forage very early in the morning or late in the evening when the sun is disappearing, unlike EHB. They also seem to be less prone to be discouraged by overcast, cold weather and even light rain, whereas EHB tend to stick to sunny days and are more sensitive to poor temperatures and rain. 3. Observe different swarm patterns in AHB. Swarming is when a queen leaves a hive and tens of thousands of worker bees follow in order to find and form a new hive. EHB tend to do this about once a year. AHB have smaller nests that they more readily abandon and thus will swarm 6 to 12 times a year. This is why AHB are typically less sought after by beekeepers. This constant swarming can really reduce the population left behind in their hive and require them to introduce new queens regularly. Because of their frequency, AHB swarms tend to be much smaller than those of EHB. Use DNA testing for certainty. While the common person will not have access to this sort of test, it is virtually the only way to tell with certainty whether an individual bee is AHB. Scientists use DNA tests to confirm an African bloodline in the specimen.